Yar, Optimus Tom. It be talk like a pirate day, and we are about to see the great naval combat of ship CLG versus ship Dynamic, and me, Roger, is jolly at the sight of this battle.
Yes, indeed.
All right, guys, we're about to load up this game, get into it, and we'll see whether this interesting comp from CLG Prime with Voyboy's Katarina in top lane can take it home tonight, or whether the more standard comp coming out of Team Dynamic will be the victor. We're seeing these interesting comps week after week with CLG Prime as they experiment, trying to get a great team comp, get some practice on some unorthodox champions so that they can surprise their opponents at the upcoming World Championship in LA.
And that is one of the best things ever, too, is they're constantly picking random champions, so no one is really going to know what kind of composition they're going to be going against in the World Finals. But we are in game number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, CLG is going to be your blue team. They did win last week. They also won a coin toss just in case, so they're going to be on the blue side. And then Team Dynamic on your red/purple team are going to be starting in the top right for game number 1. And as we mentioned, CLG is going to have a very good team for these team fight phases, but Team Dynamic, no one really plays as aggressive as they do in the North American scene. They're going to have this giant window of opportunity once Anivia hits level 6 when they get into this mid-game timing to try to shut down CLG before the big team fights really kick into high gear for them.
Look at Big Fat LP. He actually was a little late there. I wonder what happened to him. He didn't pick up his items for quite a long time, and that has allowed a sort of early invade from Team Dynamic.
Well, no surprises that an invade is coming out from Team Dynamic. Like you said, it is a very interesting choice for GG to be waiting in base for so long, but it doesn't look like Dynamic's going to capitalize on anything. Just wanted to put the ward down and get a good look at where Hotshot's going to be starting in the jungle or when he will be crossing that point. And then now they're just kind of milling around the mid lane, potentially going to be keeping their own side of the jungle safe. They do have a ward here from CLG to see what exactly Team Dynamic is going to be doing. But Nunu, starting at his rates, I wonder if they're going to wind up giving Nunu his rates and then let Corki and Soraka take those wolves to counteract the golem advantage from bottom lane blue side.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. We do have also Chowster picking up an early mana potion. That's indicative that he's going to be looking to spam that Hymn of Valor early and often.
We're going to have to see if that is what CLG is planning for. Hotshot's actually standing down here as well to give them a little bit of help with these golems. I don't think actually Doublelift and Chowster are going to be taking them, or are they? Well, I'm going to keep this on here just a second. Doublelift actually, nope, Hotshot's actually going to be taking away the golems. They're just getting a very mega leash in favor of Hotshot. And he's going to be starting at an early red buff rather than going for blue buff, where Team Dynamic thinks he's going to be. They're going for an invade. The gate is down. GG has to be very careful. Nunu's going to get a couple swings off. Anivia's going to get an auto attack. And now Team Dynamic is going to take away Cho'Gath's blue buff. In the meantime, Corki and Soraka did wind up picking up those wolves, so we're going to have to see where CLG goes from here.
And we actually have a lane swap. Voyboy heading into mid, while Big Fat LP going to go top. So this is interesting. I guess they do love that Gragas top lane, but Big Fat LP isn't able to play Katarina, so they're just going to go ahead and switch roles.
And that is going to give them that Anivia and Katarina matchup that we were talking about in Champions like Monty. So that is a very good advantage going in favor of CLG. They're also going to be coming in here and counter-jungling away at Team Dynamic's blue buff. That super leash given by Sona and Graves. Sona actually hasn't even been in lane yet. Chowster just been walking around with Hotshot to give him this extra powerful leashes. He's been able to get himself that blue buff without taking Smite on red. So it looks like they might be going for an early gank in bottom lane, but it does seem that Wild Turtle and Pixel have it all warded up and know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, they won't be fooled today. Doublelift also, this will give him an early level advantage, which is a bit interesting as well. You know, that should be able to allow him to do more damage with buckshot early and poke just a little bit harder.
Hotshot is wasting a lot of time in this brush, not realizing that it is warded, is now going to go away now that I said something. So Hotshot, thank you for listening to me. The Team Dynamic is going to continue pinging down, noting that the moments of Cho'Gath in the jungle. Meanwhile, Nintendo's going to be coming around in the mid lane trying to get a gank, but Voyboy playing a little passively, ducks down to check where he is, and Nintendo is just going to go through and continue counter jungling on Nunu. That Consume being one of the best ways to steal big raids in the game.
Yeah, and if we look right now, you know, Hotshot, when you were talking about how he was just wasting time, this is kind of a trademark of his ward clearing is so good. Actually, we have a gank going on in mid lane as Nintendo next. Gotta come in and deal some damage, get some procs down on Voyboy, and hit him with an Ice Blast before heading out.
And that is going to be one of those matchups we have to keep a very close eye on. Nunu doesn't have the most powerful ganks in the world, but he does have Ice Blast with a big slow percentage on it. On top of this, we're going to have Paradoxical and Anivia be able to get the critical strike off it for Frostbite. Frostbite. So we're going to have to make sure that Voyboy, Katarina, she doesn't have a lot of crowd control on her own side, and she's not exactly the toughest champion in the world either. So if Nunu comes in the lane, Voyboy has to be extremely careful to use that Shunpo to get out of sticky situation before he takes more damage than he expects.
Yeah, and this bottom lane looks like we already have Pixel and Wild Turtle pushed back to the tower. You see Wild Turtle already down very low, and Hotshot might be coming in for an early dive. This is kind of risky with Soraka. She did just use heal. I don't think they have any kind of vision of it. Voyboy coming in as well. This might be a four-man dive if they could push this tower up. They're not being very successful at keeping the wave underneath that turret.
They don't want to give anything away, though. So once again, Cho'Gath and Katarina are going to waste a little bit of time in this rush, but now that the lane has appeared at the tower, we can expect some sort of response. We see that Wild Turtle knows something is up. Valkyrie does go off, and then Cho'Gath and Katarina are showing their faces, and after all that anticipation, Monte Cristo, seems that Team Dynamic had an idea what was up all along.
Yeah, and Hotshot lagging behind now a bit in terms of clearing camps. You can see Nintendo already up, about 50%, 12 to 18 minion kills. And this is Hotshot's issue, is he frequently falls behind in levels because he waits a long time to try and make these ganks work. And it's a very high risk, high reward style of jungling. Sure, if he can get it to operate correctly, he can snowball his lanes really hard. But if it doesn't, he ends up just falling very, very far behind and is dependent on the rest of his lanes for the game.
I don't really know if it's that detrimental for CLG to have this happen. If Hotshot falls behind early and his team's able to help him out and reach that late game, that's pretty much what we expect to see from a CLG team, is go for the late game, 35, 40 minutes into the game, that's where they're going to try to win it. So I think Hotshot, by waiting in these brushes, like you said, it's a little detrimental to their early game mentality, but if CLG can survive, especially by busting out some of these strategies that no one really knows how to deal with, and they don't want to get as aggressive as, say, against the competition where they know what to expect, I think it might be one of those little advantages that Hotshot's able to exploit. And right now, Team Dynamic, they're not really taking any advantages of this. So we did see Nunu getting a little counter jungling early on with his consume, but we haven't seen that much pressure from Nunu out of the jungle. And they are relying on a jungler that's a little bit more supporty and doesn't have the strongest ganks in the world.
Yeah, and as we saw too, when I was talking earlier about the lack of hard CC making it difficult for Cho to gank in lane, you saw that Wild Turtle was able to escape very easily from underneath that turret. He didn't have, Chaucer didn't have, say, a Terran Dazzle to keep him there to land that Rupture. And even if he did Valk away after getting hit by Rupture, that slow might have allowed Voyboy, Hotshot, Double Lift, and Chaucer to catch up with him and get that kill.
Meanwhile, in top lane, we do see Zion Spartan going back, picking up double Doran's Blade. Explosive cast does go on. Looks like LP wants to go in on this one. Zion Spartan tries to knock him backwards with the hammer, but he's gotten ignited. He's taking a lot of damage. Is the barrel going to be up enough time? Body slam is, though, and that is first blood being picked up for GG on Gragas top lane.
Yeah, very nice play there by GG to take that kill, and just beautiful use of that ultimate.
That was a very, very good first blood solo kill in the meantime for GG. So perhaps maybe Pobelter Syndrome on Voyboy isn't the worst thing in the world. Maybe GG wants to switch to top lane after all. But we're going to have to see how it does progress in this game. Meanwhile, we do see Anivia has now hit level 6 of Paradoxical with the Chalice of Harmony. Is going to be able to sustain and farm himself up pretty darn good in that bottom mid lane. 48 CS right now compared to Katarina, who actually only has 38, so he's already using that to his advantage to keep a CS lead.
By the way, I wanted to point out something about Hotshot. You can see with his jungle Cho'Gath, he did pick up the Boots of Mobility to help him move through the jungle and gank better, but he's also has 2 wards. Now, he's warding very heavily for his lanes right now, and not only that, but he donated Wraiths. He did a bunch of damage to Wraiths and then called Voyboy in to take them earlier. So he's going an extremely support-heavy style play of jungle. He's trying to get map control, and he's trying to snowball his lanes. If he can't get ganks, then by getting them a bit extra experience in gold.
It's very true, and he does have the boots of mobility to help him move all the way around. This is actually going to net them a dragon. Fortunately, a little bit of a bug. Can't see it on the screen, but there is a dragon that's being taken down right now, ladies and gentlemen. They're not attacking thin air. Team Dynamic does know what is up. Nintendo is going to be coming over here, but there's no way they can contest 5 men from CLG all coming down and taking that dragon. They are going to pursue. Exhaust goes off onto Nintendo, having to burn the flash over the wall, and they're going to chase him away and try to secure the enemy blue buff now.
Wow, this is really bold objective-based play from CLG. They did have that timer from taking it earlier. Hotshot is going to go ahead and get that blue buff again, go ahead and secure that instead of letting the enemy team get it.
We do see in the meantime, Zion Spartan's going to try to respawn by taking down this tower, staying in his range form, making sure he's going to be able to take down minions at the same time as the tower. That tower is falling very low, and that will be tower number 1 of the game going to Team Dynamic. So even though they lost the buff, they lost the dragon, they're keeping up the gold lead, only a couple hundred differential in
but
CLG's
Tom,
favor.
If you look at bot lane right now, it literally has 1 hit on it. It has 20 HP, and Chowster and Doublelift got this turret down extremely quickly, but they've just been waiting and biding their time, farming up and dealing damage to Wild Turtle and Pixel. So they're taking it at their convenience, or at the convenience of their minions, which will be in this next wave.
Well, I believe we were talking about in the pre-show with some of the guys at MLG how the strongest members of CLG are their minions. They deal the most damage on the team, and they're pulling their weight right there, taking down bottom tower in response to top tower.
Great job for the blue team minions, helping out their buddies at CLG.
It's a team effort, Monty. Everybody wins when you play League of Legends properly. We do have Paradoxical getting jumped on here by Katarina. Death Lotus does go off. The Egg Form and the Flash actually both burned from Paradoxical. Had to burn that one to stay safe under tower.
Yeah, beautiful play there by Voyboy. And, you know, if you could bait out that Flash Frost effectively as Katarina, Anivia really has no way to stop you, and it's very difficult to hit it when Katarina can just bounce around like that.
It's very true. Meanwhile, in top lane, we do see that GG was freezing the lane for a little bit, then deciding he just wanted all the CS for himself. Has picked up a Doran's Ring Sorcerer Shoes and going for an Amplifying Tome. Could be turning that into a Cage's or Kage's lucky pick, depending if he wants to be playing for a little bit later in the game. Meanwhile, Jace has gone for double Doran's Blade, but now deciding to pick up a Ruby Crystal. I thought he might be going for the Bloodthirster style Jace, where they had a Corki for the AD carry, as well as a very powerful Jace, but he is potentially going to be going for that Phage and going for the more standard Trinity Force build now.
Yeah, that is interesting, especially because Corki is a bit behind Wild Turtle. He's also going for that Phage build, but the extra tankiness he would receive in laning phase isn't going to be that great because he's already lost his turrets, so there's not going to be much more trading in that lane.
If they're able to get the Trinity Forces up by about the 20, maybe 22-minute mark, Team Dynamic is going to be going for a very aggressive mid lane. We do have a pause coming out, which is going to give us a decent amount of time to talk about this, Monty. But what's going to happen is, as we mentioned, CLG is going to be all about the team fights. They're going to be trying to get into a little bit later stage of the game where they can combine all of their AoE, all of their crowd control, and generate a large advantage and just decimate Team Dynamic in the later game. TD has identified this from the awkward composition that CLG does have still. They've identified that, okay, it's CLG, they'll play for a little bit later in the game. By getting a Trinity Force, even though it is basically the most expensive item in the entire game, if you're able to farm up and get it safely in the mid game, you have an unparalleled amount of damage, what between the Sheen procs, just the overall stat bonuses that it gives you, and having that on 2 champions means that if you hit them really hard in that mid game, you're going to derail them before they even hit the late game they want to get to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tom, but the issue with the Trinity Force build, of course, is you do have an itty-bitty window of time before your opponents start to outscale you in terms of damage, so you really have to take advantage of that timing in order to get the most out of that build. So we'll have to see what Team Dynamic can come up with here. Right now, they are at about a 1,800 gold disadvantage to CLG Prime, but they should be catching up relatively quickly if they're able to farm in lane. Hotshot gonna go for a gank. He actually baits out the Valkyrie. Crescendo gonna come down on Pixel, and he will just get blown up by collateral damage, shredded into tiny little healing lady bits.
It does seem that they are going to continue to pursue this. Nintendude has come down to try to run a little bit of zone defense, but Chowster is going to sit there and poke away, as is Doublelift. Meanwhile, we do actually see Voyboy, who's actually picked up a kill on Anivia in the middle lane, completely distracted from that bottom lane engagement as 3 members of CLG continue just to push down on this tower.
That was another probably great bait there by Voyboy. You can see he's going to be looking like he's picking up an early Cage's lucky pick, but he does get the Amplifying Tome second.
Bottom lane, we do have Nunu popping the Absolute Zero with Chowster in tower range. A narrow escape there from Wild Turtle is going to keep him alive. Doublelift continuing to harass Nintendude against the tower, and CLG still pressing all their advantages. I wanted to talk about how they were going for a mid-game kind of timing for Team Dynamic to go against CLG. CLG doesn't want them to do that whatsoever, and they're continuing to go with 3 members of the lane. And as you mentioned, Hotshot being a little bit behind in the jungle, spending some extra time in lane, he's gaining some experience he needs to catch back up to Nintendude.
Yeah, absolutely. And Voyboy and Big Fat LP both doing amazing jobs of getting solo kills in their lane, and that's really problematic for Team Dynamic when the jungler isn't even involved. And we can also see now that Hotshot is actually out farming Nintendo X's Nunu.
We did have Doublelift picking up a kill onto Soraka in the bottom lane. Wild Turtle getting dove now by Voyboy. Voyboy's going to be able to seal the deal with the Sinister Steel, but he is going to fall in response towards Wild Turtle's Corki. In the meantime, we had Jace pushing Gragas all the way back to his own base and then trying to go for a counter jungle, being chased away by the combined efforts of CLG. Team Dynamic, though, they're going to continue on this one. Anivia lands the Flash Frost and a nice wall on Chalister. Explosive cast comes out from GD to try to reset the battle. Chalister is going to go down to Paradoxical now. Nintendo coming around wants to try to zone out Hotshot. Anivia does not have the egg up, and a big body slam from Santa Claus is going to end the Bird's dreams.
That is a terrifying statement, Tom.
A big body slam from Santa Claus. Yar har har, Monte Cristo.
Wow, that's the stuff of children's nightmares, Tom.
I guess so. I wouldn't know. I never have nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Team Dynamic is playing this wrong because the only way to bait Santa Claus is with milk and cookies.
I don't know, though. We do have Nintendo continuously getting harassed down by Hotshot. And as we were saying, Hotshot has a lead on him now, just pushing him out of that mid lane before Voyboy even shows up. So blue buff Cho'Gath with those boots of mobility and a heart of gold going against Nintendo with boots of mobility. Not even gone back and picked up his own GP10 item. Voyboy's not going to give up, though. He is going to flash forward and then Shunpo sealing the deal with some bouncing blades and very nice Sinister Steel.
Tom, I have to admit, I'm getting kind of scared of Voyboy's Katarina right now.
I might actually start to have nightmares.
Well, I mean, Voyboy, I've never seen him play Cat before, and he's just doing such an amazing job in middle lane. And this is so characteristic of what we used to think about Voyboy's style, which was so aggressive, constant poke, constant damage, constant attempts at your life. And Katarina's turned into a great champion with the redevelopment that can really handle his style of play and still leave him somewhat safe.
We did see a very nice blue steal coming out from Sona there, poking it down with her Q, being able to take that one away from Team Dynamic. So no blue for Wild Turtle on Corki. CLG is going to respond by going for a Dragon, which has decided to show its face this time for you ladies and gentlemen on stream. That's going to be the second Dragon of the game, the second blue buff taking away by CLG, and on top of this, they are taking a solid 6,000 gold lead, 7 kills to 2, and still a tower up 2-1 over Team Dynamic.
Tom, CLG Prime is just looking so sharp. They've had total control over this game so far, and I'm just so impressed that they've managed to come back. You know, this is what I expected them to look like coming back from Korea, and it seems like it's taken them a few weeks after their return to get all cylinders firing. And I know they've had a lot of work to do with their role switching and kind of Hotshot getting comfortable in the jungle, developing his stable of champions from a limited pool to a larger number, and really getting an identity as a jungler. But what's so interesting about Hotshot's jungle play is we talk about support junglers a lot of the time, but Hotshot is the supportiest jungler I think I've seen, just in terms of the items he buys. The way he's playing this game has just been really to help his lanes, not even so much with ganking, but just with wards and general map control and presence, and just allowing Double Lift, Voyboy, and Big Fat LP to carry entirely on their own. And coming from a carry jungler like St. Vicious, this is such a strategic shift to make.
And this is something we see not only Hotshot doing, but we can see the evolution more clearly in a player like Hotshot. This is something all North American junglers are slowly starting to adapt to. We saw a lot of Mortis coming out from Legion in the previous team fight, prize fights as well. He's been getting extremely early Oracle's elixirs. Bottom lane, we do see Corki getting harassed down by Voyboy. Voyboy just stalking his prey. Sinister Steel without any marks whatsoever. Death Lotus is going to try to get some damage on, has to pop the wish. Meanwhile, on the backside, Anivia gets hit down by the crescendo. Voyboy is going to be chasing down Corki, picking up the kill. Cho'Gath going to seal the deal as Katarina with the reset, getting another Shunpo down, is going to take down Anivia. Now Nintendo trying to pop the Outsuit Zero and an Ice Blood to take down Voyboy is not going to happen. A quick heal from Chalister and a quick poke from Sona are going to be able to take down 4 members of TD, no problem.
Wow, you know, Voyboy just showing the strength of the new Katarina. This is so impressive. Zion Spartan almost going to take Voyboy out with a well-timed shock blast through that acceleration gate, but instead just gets mobbed by CLG, and it looks like this is going to be an uncontested Baron.
This is a CLG, like you said, we expected to see out of Korea, the mecca of esports. This is what we wanted CLG to be like at PAX. Maybe they're a little jet lagged, maybe they're a little distracted. I do know that some members actually took a vacation after PAX and just wanted to calm down a little bit. We had Double Lift actually going back to Korea for a week, casting some of the OGN tournaments. They look relaxed, they look fresh, they look like they're all on the same page now that they're living in the same place. They are just absolutely dominating Team Dynamic, getting aggressive against one of the teams that's known for their aggression in the North American scene.
Yeah, I mean, this is just staggering. And the balance of play that we're seeing coming out of CLG Prime here, they're not playing particularly passively, but they're also not playing particularly aggressively. They are simply outmaneuvering their opponents. And, you know, for a team that, oh wow, Paradoxical going to go down to Ignite. Wow, what a play from Voyboy there, just going into the AD and AP carry of that team, taking out Para and coming out unscathed.
That's what happens when you have a 6-1-3 Katarina at less than 18 minutes into the game, 135 CS, highest CS in the game. Right now she has a Kage's Lucky Pick for more gold, and just in case, oh, she also has this thing called a Death Cap that deals a lot of damage on AP champions.
Yeah, I've heard that's a pretty good item, Tom.
Look at that. She's going to Shunpo win right after Wild Turtle, get him to half HP. Soraka's going to have to heal him back up. This is going to let CLG, like you said, the maneuvering of them is impeccable this game. Just going to keep getting it. There's a ward over the wall, so he wants to go in on somebody from Team Dynamic. That is going to zone them out from fear itself and let CLG take down the second tower in the mid lane.
And again, just these tower kills, they just keep coming. And look at that double lift going to get a kill onto Wild Turtle's Corki right there at bot turret, just entirely by himself.
When you're having a team that is getting solo kills in lanes like CLG has been the entire game, that is not outmaneuvering, that is not better champions, that is not just better composition, that is just better players at that point. So CLG showing that they have what it takes to take down players like Team Dynamic who, as I keep saying, they've been known to be extremely aggressive. People like Zion's partner, especially when he picked up Nidalee, has been known to solo people by himself, solo 3 members of an enemy team. CLG is showing, well, you guys can do this, we're gonna try to up our game a little bit and do the same exact thing. 14 kills to 2, I think that speaks for itself, Monty.
You know, and what's so interesting about this strategy that CLG Prime is using is how well they're moving and synchronized around the map. Their communication issues, which have been a problem for CLG in the past. I'm gonna give it to you, Tom, for this team.
There is a crescendo going down as well as a bunch of other skills, but Double is going to seal the deal on Nuna before Absolute Zero pops. Chasing after Paradoxical is Voyboy. Voyboy's going to go down with a little bit of gusto, though, to Corki. Soraka's actually going to take down Grace, so CLG maybe biting off a little more than they can chew, or not, as Cho'Gath uses the feast down and picks up a kill onto Wild Turtle's Corki. He is going to have to get out of here, though. Even though Cho'Gath has a lot of HP on his bar, that little teeny tiny bit is still going to be one combo from Anivia. Gets a very nice rupture off to disengage. But meanwhile, Monty, GG's been in top lane. 4v5, CLG still comes out.
Still comes out. Wow, that is so impressive that they managed to actually fight under turret with only 4 members of their team. Paradoxical going to come up, do a little base defense here. GG getting very aggressive and will just blow him up with that liquor.
Explosive cast, knocking Anivia into her own tower, sealing her own fate. Even the towers, I think TD maybe might wants to knock them down at this point because they are not even on their side at this point in time. The enemy towers are on CLG Prime's side. You have Nintendo recalling in a bush. Looked like he wanted to look and find GG, but they're just recalling the opposite side of the trees there. A little unfortunate there from Team Dynamic.
You know, the more I think about this Gragas Santa Claus skin, the more I wish that Santa Claus would actually come into my house and throw beer at me.
Well, as much as that sounds awesome, I don't think I want Voyboy anywhere near my house. He's going to be continuing to dive down on Pixel, burns the flash, the Ignite did go off. Realizing that Nintendo is his next target, he's just going to go after him, throws a couple bouncing blades, and is going to shun Po away and continue to push the lane down into Team Dynamic's base.
Wow, Tom, you know, I don't know what to say about this game anymore. We do have a 20-minute game so far, but it is 14,000 gold as Voyboy will just go ahead and straight up double kill them under their turret. Paradoxical managing to survive with the egg, so I guess not quite a double kill, taking an errant turret shot, but might as well have been.
We also had Double to pick up a kill once again solo on Wild Turtle in the bottom lane. They are going to be continuing to duo this dragon between Graves and Sona all by themselves. Now Zion Spartan walking into a rupture placed down by Hotshot GG. He is going to seal himself the deal on the kill there. Dragon goes down. Everything is just going down, and it's in favor of CLG at this point.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm just taken aback by how much CLG looks like they've improved since we saw them at the North American Regionals. They looked strong last week, but they didn't look that dominant. And if this gaming house with CLG EU is making them this good, they're going to be terrifying at Worlds.
I had to wonder, are they sapping the skills away from EU? Is this like a power transfer kind of thing, or do they all form together and make like CLG Captain Planet?
That's interesting. So we have vampires or Captain Planet. You guys decide.
I don't know about that one, but Santa Claus is knocking down the top turret, actually going to farm up and run away as he does see Paradoxical coming into the top lane to try to push back. He has picked up a Deathfire's Grasp that is going to go in conjunction with the one that Katarina has picked up for herself as well.
That burst is so enormous.
On top of this, we have Chain Vest being picked up for both AP characters. I would say both AP mids, but swapping roles around, we don't really know at this point in time. Voyboy is going to go down on Zion Spartan's Jace. He has to use the hammer just to knock her away so she can't continue to Shunpo and basically solo his entire team right there. They're going to be picking up Zanya's Hourglasses. Gragas actually going back and picking up his right now. They have a Cho'Gath that has about 3,000 HP, 2,792 HP right now on Cho'Gath. They even have a Sona coming in with almost 2,000 HP on her. They're just looking beefy. They're looking dangerous, and Team Dynamic huddled in their base, trying to defend up this mid lane as best as they can.
And check it out. On the last back, that was the first time that we've seen a fight with Zion Spartan actually having Trinity Force. Is going to be this engagement here under this turret. He still doesn't even have level 2 boots at 23 minutes, preferring just to rush that Trinity Force instead.
Remember when we were talking about Team Dynamic had this window of opportunity around the 20 to 22 minute mark? I think CLG made the house for Team Dynamic to stay in with no windows whatsoever. So they're not letting them get this opportunity at all. Look at Voyboy just going in. There's the explosive cast from Gragas going to separate absolutely everybody. Voyboy does land a Deathfire's Grasp, trying to pick up a kill on Corki, but Craze is going to come in and seal the deal. She's going to settle for Jace. Absolute ace being just demolished. Demonstrated. It's devastated and demolished at the same time, Monty. CLG coming up with new strategies, making me come up with new words for the 25-5 dominance they're showing over TD right now.
Oh my god. Tom, I don't even know if I've ever seen a 24-minute game with a 20,000 gold difference. This might be a first for me.
I think they might have taken a lesson from M5 against CLG EU. And we're like, hey, this is what happens when you get a 20,000 gold lead, but this is how you win when you do it. All of TD respawns at the exact same time, though. Paradoxical is going to pick up a double kill here. Jace is going to secure a kill on Cho'Gath, who does eventually take down Anivia, but the strongest members of the team, Double Lift and the minions, will seal the deal on the Nexus, securing the win for CLG Prime 1-0 in this BIC Flex4 Razors prize fight.
Well, shout out to Blue Caster Minion for carrying CLG in that fight. And
I win.
He's blue. I'm red this time, guys, so maybe I'll get a win next time if CLG can pull it off 2-0. But in the meantime, guys, let's go to a quick commercial break while we get into the next game, and we'll be back with you in the MLG studios in New York in just a minute.